Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Finn McDermott and here are your top stories on Thursday, the 11th of December. Are you fine with more fines? A consultation launched to introduce more cameras on box junctions around Kent.
I do feel like these things are just a printing press for local councils and governments to make a little bit more money from, your normal person.
Paralysed pups. Disabled dog charity in Canterbury calls for support following a viral TikTok video.
We aren't currently a very big charity. We are a small local charity, and it is by supporting small local charities like us that helps drive charities like us to becoming a more well-known household name.
Sheds and Sharing, a charity in Medway, are helping to tackle loneliness and to improve mental health.
Getting out, meeting people, building stuff, we just have a lot of fun.
Now for our top story this evening, yellow box junctions around Maidstone, Dartford and other towns in Kent could see automatic number plate recognition cameras installed. This is all in an effort by Kent County Council to tackle traffic congestion. A consultation was launched on Monday proposing the installation of the cameras at 12 different sites across the county. Now it is an offence to stop in a box junction and the council say they hope that fining drivers might help fight this poor behaviour. Our reporter Chloe Brewster has been down to Dartford to talk with drivers.
Kent County Council has launched a proposed crackdown on drivers illegally stopping in yellow box junctions across Kent. They say new automatic number plate recognition cameras could help ease congestion and respond to widespread abuse of traffic regulations.
Here at Junction 1A, just off the Dartford crossing, they're proposing 4 ANPR cameras to look over the yellow box junctions here. The council say it hopes that it will help clear up traffic in this area and help deter drivers from illegally stopping in the box junctions.
But what do drivers in Dartford think of the move?
What are your thoughts on that?
Got a few tickets doing that myself.
It'll help if you're stuck in that traffic and trying to get round a roundabout, but it won't solve the congestion problem.
If they didn't keep in the yellow boxes, people at the roundabout can go straight over.
When you've been stuck in traffic for so long, you're trying to gain that extra yard, so, you maybe just think you can, and then you don't, and you're like, please move forward, get out of my way.
There's got to be a bit of common sense. If you're the authority or whatever looking at it, you can see there's a lorry in front of you or a bus, you can kind of say, okay, then it was a mistake, but for people just sitting in a yellow box, then yeah, you deserve to be fined.
I do feel like these things are just a printing press for local councils and governments to make a little bit more money from, your normal person.
It's a road traffic offence to enter a yellow box when the exit is not clear, and flouting the rules can result in fines of £70. But it's not just Dartford. Box junctions at 10 sites in Ashford, Canterbury, Maidstone and Thanet all could see new cameras installed. Justifying the proposed crackdown, Kent County Council Cabinet Member for Highways and Transport, Peter Osborne, said, "When drivers block yellow box junctions, it causes congestion and delays across local roads, disrupting daily journeys. We want to hear your views on our proposal to introduce camera enforcement at these junctions to help us make informed decisions that improve traffic flow and reduce delays for everyone." The consultation opened for public views on Monday and runs until February 3rd. You can share your views on the Let's Talk Kent County Council website now. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Dartford.
Last night, police were called to Swale council offices in Sittingbourne after a debate about signing up to the City of Sanctuary scheme turned ugly. At least 50 people attended a meeting to hear the plans for Swale Council to join a nationwide scheme that would provide extra support for asylum seekers already placed in the borough. But during the meeting, councillors were heckled at, spit at and had an egg thrown from some listeners in the public gallery. After the meeting, one of the Meds toilets on the first floor was found damaged with taps left running. This led to flooding, which caused part of the ground floor ceiling to collapse. Here is what Kevin McKenna, the Labour MP for Sittingbourne and Sheppey, said today.
McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm horrified to report to you and to the House as a whole that last night in Swale Borough Council there were violent scenes as people wearing balaclavas in the public gallery itself violently intimidated councillors. They were threatening them, pelting them with eggs and missiles from the gallery.
No! We say no! We say no! We say no! We say no! Yeah! We say no! We say no! We say no!
This is an attack on democracy itself. This is an attack on free speech. This is an attack on my constituents. The building was so badly vandalised afterwards, with toilets flooded, lifts destroyed, it can't be used today and is not open. My constituents cannot access council services because of these actions. Our democracy is based on the ability to disagree with each other strongly, but never violently. I have to ask my honourable friend, the Leader of the House, what can be done here from the House of Commons for councillors and MPs across the country who are facing growing levels of violent intimidation?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honourable friend speaks very powerfully of the appalling actions which have taken place, and I join him in condemning the actions of those involved. I know, Mr. Speaker, that you have done a great deal around the Speaker's Conference on the security of MPs, candidates and elections, but this is also a priority for the Defending Democracy Task Force, where we're now focusing very much not just on where the police can be increasingly effective when such incidents occur and where democracy is deemed to be under threat, but also to make sure that it is not just a question, and there are plenty of examples, too many of examples, of where MPs are intimidated, but it's where other local representatives are intimidated too. And it's simply not, it is simply not acceptable. So let me be very clear, those people, anyone involved in public life should not be subject to harassment or intimidation for doing their job, and this House needs to stand united in sending out that message.
Can I just say, as you did bring me into that conversation, absolutely following what the Leader says, Operation Forward is the contacts that need to be made within the constabulary. I would expect them to take over, and I would expect players who are embedded within Parliament who also connect to Operation Forward for local authorities, purely for councillors. That hotline is there to every police force in the country. So I hope that people respond accordingly to what I find an appalling situation. An attack on democracy is not acceptable. I now come to chair of the Backbench Committee, Bob Blackman.
Next, we catch up with a local charity in Canterbury, Florey's Friends Rescue, who offer a home for disabled dogs to give them another chance at life. They recently received a generous donation from Ricky Gervais, but are still looking for ongoing help to support the animals in their care. Kristen Hawthorne went down and took some of the dogs that you can see here behind me for a walk earlier. Let's have a look.
Christmas has come early for these dogs, after being featured in a viral TikTok video and receiving a large donation from Ricky Gervais for their care. But their lives have not always been filled with such joy.
It's sad what's happened to them, but if this didn't happen to them, they wouldn't have such a good life. The lives they had before they came to us were probably a whole lot worse given the types of owners they had. So it's almost a bittersweet thing. The paralysis had to happen to them to have a better quality of life, and these dogs actually have a better quality of life than most four-legged dogs.
Florey's Friends Rescue Charity is one of a kind here in Kent, helping paralysed dogs with just one or two legs get a second chance at life.
We actually turn down about 20 dogs a week. We get so many 0800 trauma calls. We have a trauma line. We get hundreds of emails from people, either with their unwanted pet that's newly paralysed that they can't cope with. We have transfers from many charities. So, for example, Nellie was a transfer from another charity. They're not a paralysis specialist rescue, but they didn't want to euthanise her, so they transferred her over to us. And then a lot of things from the vet. We get a lot of referrals from the vets, so when they've got animals that come in abuse cases, they come from left, right and centre basically. We're never short of intake. But unfortunately with dogs, as soon as they become disabled, it's euthanasia immediately, which, why should that be? Why can't dogs live disabled? Why can humans but not animals live disabled? It's just a matter of perception, and that's what we're trying to change as a rescue.
The charity recently received a donation of £100,000, which they say will cover their vet bills for the next year. And while they say they're very grateful for this donation, more consistent community support is needed to protect the future of the dogs in the long term.
Hello. So the donation we received off Ricky Gervais is, it safeguards our future, basically. It safeguards the future of these dogs and the dogs that we're going to be taking in. But unfortunately, I know £100,000 seems an incredible amount of money to someone who doesn't work in rescue. £100,000 does not cover our running costs for a year. That covers our vet bills for a year. So yes, Ricky Gervais has absolutely changed the lives of hundreds of paralysed dogs, but we really hope that doesn't put people off donating to us in future, as we rely on community donations for the monthly donations to safeguard our future and the dog's future.
The fact that they're still dogs, they're no different from any other dog. They just don't have, you know, any rear legs and they have a wheelchair, but they're completely the same as every other dog. And sometimes I think people don't understand that they're still a dog and that, you know, they'll still do absolutely everything a normal dog does.
So with Christmas well on its way, these Santa's little helpers are proving that 2 legs can be just as good as 4. Kristen Hawthorne for KMTV, Canterbury.
A great story there from our reporter Kristen Hawthorne. Well, it's now time for a break, but after that we'll be talking with the Labour MP for East Thanet, Polly Billington, who's going to be discussing the sale of the historical Memorial Hall in Broadstairs, including a campaign attempting to preserve the building that some members of the public are hoping is enough to ensure the preservation of that Memorial Hall. That is the Sarah Thorne Theatre, of course. As well as that, we'll be catching up with all the latest sports news here in Kent, with a range of sports being covered, such as the latest Gillingham results. All that and more after this short break. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Now, Dame Judi Dench has backed a campaign opposing the sale of Broadstairs Memorial Hall by Kent County Council. The hall is home to the Sarah Thorne Theatre, which the Oscar-winning actress is a trustee of, and it's set to be put up for auction. Now, it was listed for disposal in 2024, and this decision has been upheld by the new Reform-led council. I spoke with the Labour MP for East Thanet, Polly Billington, about the sale earlier. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Polly. First of all, I'm aware you have some of your own experience with community theatre. Could you tell us a bit about how the Sarah Thorne Theatre is so valuable to its community?
Well, I know from my own experience as a child and as a young adult how important the opportunity is to be able to explore different kinds of creativity and performing arts in particular. It gives you so much confidence, even if you don't end up doing it for a living. It gives you loads of skills that you can acquire, that you can use later on. But also, it's simply joyful for everybody of every age to participate in performing arts, either as a spectator or to take part fully, and gives you so many different skills.
This isn't necessarily getting rid of the theatre, it is just a sale or an auction. But are you worried potentially then if a private owner were to pick it up, that it would become less of a community asset and more of simply a thing of value that someone could change as they will?
I think I must pay tribute to Michael Wheatley-Ward, who runs the theatre, for managing to secure an extension of 5 years on the lease in order to be able to keep the theatre hopefully running under whoever is owning the property going forward. But the important thing is you retain the value of that property in the community in order to be able to provide a wide range of services. Up until recently, it was providing adult education services during the day. The council has cut that. The Kent County Council has cut that, and therefore they're saying that it's no longer viable. Services in communities like Broadstairs are important for lots of very good reasons. People enjoy those services and they benefit from them. They contribute to the economy and therefore are overall a good benefit to the community. I'm very disappointed that there is a risk to those services going forward, particularly the theatre services, because the education ones have already been cut. That theatre provision being cut from and therefore no longer being available to the people of Broadstairs.
I see. And do you worry that there might be a sort of falling dominoes effect, where if we lose this community asset of the theatre, we could see other of Thanet's artistic community assets also lost, such as museums, art galleries, things like that? Do you worry that it's a slippery slope?
We have an extraordinary amount of cultural and creative energy in Thanet. It's one of the reasons why I think we are very well placed to pitch for the city of culture for across the country and bid for it as the island of culture, the Isle of Thanet being an island of brilliant culture. So I know that's one of the reasons why the Sarah Thorne Theatre is part of the fabric that makes sure that creative and cultural energy has places to go and opportunities to flourish. Now, I know that there is an enormous amount of other assets. I hope that they will not be exposed and vulnerable to the cuts that Reform are planning. But I also know that we need, as a community, to commit to making a big plan to make the most of our cultural and creative assets. And that's what I'm concerned about when I see something like the Sarah Thorne Theatre under such threat.
Now, Dame Judi Dench has weighed in on the plans to sell the theatre. She says that she's horrified to see the space go up for auction and that the sale would put its future in jeopardy. How do you feel about getting support from such a renowned figure?
It's absolutely brilliant to get the backing of somebody who's a national treasure and a global legend like Judi Dench. It points out that so many people, however successful they are in the world, understand that the start of the excitement about performance and theatre begins in places like Sarah Thorne. Who knows what untapped talent there is in Broadstairs and in the Thanet more widely that will stay untapped because they will not have the opportunities to be able to explore the performing arts in the way that the Sarah Thorne Theatre has enabled people to do. Now, I've heard Kent County Council councillors say Kent County Council isn't there to provide or run theatres. No, they're not, but they are there to make important decisions about how money is allocated to support communities to flourish. And that is exactly what Sarah Thorne Theatre was enabling people to do. I don't want untapped talent to stay untapped, and I want that potential to flourish. And that's what Judy Dench and I both agree on.
I see. Thank you so much for joining us, Polly. In a statement by Kent County Council, they said the agreement for a 5-year lease is seen as a safeguard for the future of the theatre. They say the sale via auction is still going ahead and that it's statutory due to it no longer being used by KCC. Despite all this, the building has been identified as an asset of community value. Brian Collins, the deputy leader of KCC, said without a viable proposal, the council has no choice now but to move forward with the sale. Now, let's take a look at some sports news from across the county.
Gillingham coach Gareth Ainsworth said he found a 0-0 draw on Saturday's game to be a better outcome than a 3-3 draw that happened on the 29th of November. Ainsworth has stated that he doesn't care if the game has no thrills or spills, but as someone who sets his team up to be organised, hard to beat, a 0-0 is definitely better than a 3-3. He went on to say that this no-score game shows how hard it is for the team to beat Gillingham, and that draws are horrible because you'd rather win 2 and lose 2 than draw 4 points-wise. But performance-wise, you've got to give credit to the boys. They are hard to beat. Invicta Dynamos host Cardiff Fire on Saturday in NIHL South Division 1 after beating Stolen Devils 5-2 in the league last week. Victory heavy in the air, the Dynamos hope to continue to rake in the wins for the coming season. Next week, the Dynamos will be celebrating 40 years of hockey. Honouring their past, they'll be making a tribute to the Medway Bears this weekend. They will face a double-header against Slough Jets, the team that's just above them in the table. It's a home game this Saturday against Cardiff Fire, although at the bottom of the table, still a formidable team. Despite winning their last 5 games, head coach Carl Lennon isn't taking anyone lightly. As for the upcoming games, he says, there's no question that Cardiff had some struggles through the start of the year, but they've got a solid netminder, and they've got a few solid players, and we have to respect that. Scott Porter declares his time as a football manager is over after a trophy-laden career. With a rich career of promotions, cup wins and FA Cup run-ups to the first round proper, yet admits his love for football management is gone. After 16 years of serving Kent clubs, Scott notes his discomfort with the changing nature of the game and has a need to focus on his personal life outside of football and spend more time with his family. Scott's had a history of managing Hythe Town, Whitstable Town, Hollands and Blair, and most recently Lord Woods. Some of his greatest achievements were where he won the Kent League title at Hythe and a promotion that came at Whitstable during a table-winning season. Corey Miller for KMTV.
Now, don't forget you can keep up to date with all the latest stories from all over Kent at kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find many of our reports like this one.
I think you can start preparing for Christmas discreetly from sort of August.
I don't like celebrating it until after my birthday, which is today. So in December is fine for me.
October.
I like it in December as well to start it, not too early.
Yeah, same with me.
12 days before.
For many across Kent, Christmas comes but once a year. But for this store in Rochester, every day is Christmas Day. Times Christmas is the UK's largest Christmas store, open 7 days a week, all year round, and attracts thousands of people just on a weekend.
From every tremendous fur you could wish for, to lights brighter than Rudolph's red nose, Time Christmas really slays it.
People want that magic, so they're coming out now and going a little bit crazier than they used to. We've had people travel from Scotland, we've had people travel from Wales, so we really are all over from people. So
the store is so enchanting that customers keep coming back for more.
I come here actually quite often if I'm at work and I'm feeling a bit, then I just come in here and I absolutely love it. Just take my time walking around, listening to the music. It's just such a good feel-good factor. I go back to the office and I feel great.
It's local to me. I live here in Medway Towns. It's just awesome, fantastic. It's seasonal. What more could you say about? You go to other shops, there's a little bit of Christmas, but this is dedicated to Christmas. Christmas is good time.
And even the big man himself had something to say.
Been doing Santa for all these years. This is probably my best ever venue. After doing
Harrods, Hamleys, all the top toy stores and garden centres and all of that. This is the cream of the pie. This is.
But what's driving all this Christmas spending? Chris Britcher, Kent Online's business editor, says the trend of earlier festive shopping is being fuelled by rising sales events.
According to the Bank of England last year, the average family spent about an extra £700 in December, which is obviously a significant spending uptick. That's about sort of 30% up on the normal months of the year. And, you know, as we all know, a lot of retailers are entirely reliant on that Christmas period to really boost their revenues and keep them ticking over during the quieter months.
And with year-round stores like Time Christmas keeping the festive spirit alive well beyond December, it's clear that for shoppers and businesses alike, the season of spending never truly melts away. Naila Mohammed for KMTV.
And today we are seeing clouds sweeping across Kent, an average of 10 degrees. Tunbridge Wells will get a small drop to 9. Tomorrow morning, clouds remain across Kent, weather increasing to 11. Dover seeing a high of 12. And into the afternoon, clouds remain, as does the temperature in Dover. Everywhere else up to 12 degrees, Tunbridge Wells at 11. And the outlook is rather plain, 12 degrees across the board. Some clouds over early in the week, with Sunday and Monday looking a bit overcast for Kent. Time for a short break. See you after a few minutes. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Finn McDermott and here are your top stories on Thursday, the 11th of December. Are you fine with more fines? Consultation launched to introduce more cameras on box junctions around Kent. Paralysed pups. Disabled dog charity in Canterbury calls for more support following a viral TikTok video. And Sheds and Sharing, a charity in Medway are helping tackle loneliness and improving mental health. A look back at our top story this evening. Yellow box junctions around Maidstone, Dartford and other towns in Kent could see automatic number plate recognition cameras installed in an effort by Kent County Council to tackle traffic congestion. A consultation was launched on Monday proposing the installation of the cameras at 12 sites across the county. It is an offence to stop in a box junction and the council say they hope that fining drivers might help fight this poor behaviour. Our reporter Chloe Brewster has been down to Dartford to talk to drivers.
Kent County Council has launched a proposed crackdown on drivers illegally stopping in yellow box junctions across Kent. They say new automatic number plate recognition cameras could help ease congestion and respond to widespread abuse of traffic regulations.
Here at Junction 1A, just off the Dartford crossing, they're proposing 4 ANPR cameras to look over the yellow box junctions here. The council say it hopes that it will help clear up traffic in this area and help deter drivers from illegally stopping in the box junctions.
But what do drivers in Dartford think of the move?
What are your thoughts on that?
Got a few tickets doing that myself.
It'll help if you're stuck in that traffic and trying to get round a roundabout, but it won't solve the congestion problem.
If they didn't keep in the yellow boxes, people at the roundabout can go straight over.
When you've been stuck in traffic for so long, you're trying to gain that extra yard, so you maybe just think you can, and then you don't. Then you're like, please move forward, get out of my way.
There's got to be a bit of common sense. If you're the authority or whatever looking at it, you can see there's a lorry in front of you or a bus, you can kind of say, okay, then it was a mistake. But for people just sitting in a yellow box, then yeah, you deserve to be fined.
I do feel like these things are just a printing press for local councils and governments to make a little bit more money from, your normal person.
It's a road traffic offence to enter a yellow box when the exit is not clear, and flouting the rules can result in fines of £70. But it's not just Dartford. Box junctions at 10 sites in Ashford, Canterbury, Maidstone and Thanet all could see new cameras installed. Justifying the proposed crackdown, Kent County Council Cabinet Member for Highways and Transport, Peter Osborne, said, "When drivers block yellow box junctions, it causes congestion and delays across local roads, disrupting daily journeys. We want to hear your views on our proposal to introduce camera enforcement at these junctions to help us make informed decisions that improve traffic flow and reduce delays for everyone." The consultation opened for public views on Monday and runs until February 3rd. You can share your views on the Let's Talk Kent County Council website now. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Dartford.
Now, internet safety for young people has been a long debated issue, with some schools here in Kent even going as far to ban phones in schools. But in Australia, they've banned social media for those under 16. We spoke with Police and Crime Commissioner Matthew Scott on this earlier.
I absolutely think that we should do it, and I think it's a great shame that the Labour government are refusing to do it. I think they're listening to big tech more than they're listening to parents who want it. There's so many risks attached to social media exposure and screen time, not just in terms of the physical well-being of people spending too much time on screens. There's also the concerns that I'm seeing around increased exposure to extortion, indecent sharing of images, predatory behaviour online. So I think we need to do everything we can to reduce the option for criminals to try and exploit our young people, as well as keep them safe online. The evidence is there. It helps improve physical and mental well-being. I'm disappointed the government won't follow suit and copy Australia's example.
I see. And how do you think that Kent weighs up when compared to the rest of the country in terms of online abuse?
I am working with police and crime commissioners at the moment to try and understand the scale of this problem. We have a colleague of mine in Cheshire who is, like me, an advocate and passionate advocate of smartphone-free schools. We're both offering funding to schools in order to help them go smartphone-free. And I think we are slowly changing the narrative around what access we want our young people to have to social media. It's not to say that they don't need access to the internet, but the unrestricted access that they have to some of these social media platforms is causing them considerable harm. whether they realise it directly from what people it is they are trying to do to exploit them, but also the other consequences of the impact on their mental well-being.
I see, and you mentioned unrestricted access there. Some opponents of this scheme have argued that rather than banning social media entirely for under 16s, there should be a more gradual approach, perhaps more education rather than simply a ban. What do you make of those arguments?
I think we're long past those arguments, because if you're still exposing them to them, even for a limited amount of time, you are still exposing them to the potential consequences of having concerns about their about eating disorders, body image, stress, anxiety, as well as some of the other pressures that they come under for exploitation and abuse and sharing of images. So I think that if you're going to go some halfway house of allowing some time but not all, I think you've either got to pick, you've got to do it properly or you don't do it at all. And my fear is the Labour government won't do this at all.
I see. And even if the Labour government wanted to do this, do you think this would be a particular popular idea? Do you think it would be passed here in the UK? We've already seen the Online Safety Act restrict what young people can see online. So do you think this would be particularly popular with people, especially parents?
Absolutely. If you look at the evidence of the Smartphone Free Childhood campaign, the number of people who are voluntarily signing up to do this and not buying their young people smartphones and limiting their access to social media voluntarily, there's massive demand for this. My own work on online bullying and cyber threats to young people shows massive support amongst parents for limits to smartphones in schools and access to social media. Until that point which the government is going to act, we do have to still continue to push this message. I would encourage anyone watching to sign up for the Smartphone Free Childhood campaign. There are support groups in Kent for like-minded parents who want to do this but need a bit of support from other parents in order to be able to achieve it.
I see. You mentioned some of those surveys there. I have some numbers here. Last year's Youth and Parents survey revealed that 34% of primary children and 29% of secondary school children had been bullied online. Do you think a measure like this social media ban would be an effective way of dealing with online bullying, or do you think it would simply kind of bleed into real life?
Well, we've always had it on both. We've always had it in real life and we've always had it online. I think if you reduce access to those options, then you will be able to reduce that. And I think the problem is probably a lot bigger than we actually realise, because a lot of people do suffer in silence. They don't feel confident talking about it, even in an anonymous survey. And maybe sometimes they don't recognise the signs of it. So we need to give people the confidence to talk more about it, to be able to go through parents or teachers or guardians, to talk to the police if they think it's necessary in order to raise their concerns. I think that it's probably the tip of the iceberg, and there are much bigger problems that we are seeing around mental and physical well-being and exploitation that we're just scraping the surface of.
Across the UK, more than 33,000 people attend their local men's shed. These are places designed to boost connection, confidence and mental well-being, whether it's through music, gardening or electronics. With a quarter of men still less likely to seek support, these community spaces are becoming a lifeline. Our reporter Naila Mohammed went to see how they're making a difference right here in Medway.
Across the UK, thousands of men are finding community in an unexpected place, their local shed. What might look like a simple workshop is actually a lifeline for many, offering friendship, purpose and a space to learn new skills.
Put 12 blokes in a room and you asked them to talk about their feelings. 6 of them would leave the room immediately, and then the other 6 would try to find corners of the room. But if you put a broken lawnmower in the middle of the room and you ask those 12 guys to fix it, they'd crack on and they'd fix that lawnmower. But at the same time, within an hour, they'd all know each other's names. They'd know about what's going on in their lives, and they'd be sharing information that, they wouldn't do face to face. And that's kind of what happens here sometimes.
88% of regulars feel more part of their community. And almost all say they've now made new friends by coming along.
Getting out, meeting people, building stuff, we just have a lot of fun, I feel like just come down for a cup of coffee and just chat, that's nice.
I'm not stuck indoors staring at 4 walls and I'm socialising with people as well and making friends, and I'm gaining knowledge, and I've got a bit of knowledge as well that I can share.
I was introduced to men in sheds as I was no longer able to work. It is good for me as it keeps me making things.
It's an open environment where people can come and not be shackled by thinking, oh well, this is a health service thing, this is a DWP thing where I've got to be here.
Across the UK, 1 in 3 men say they don't know where to turn, and half have struggled with poor mental health. Yet only 1 in 4 feel able to talk to friends. Here in Medway, Men's Shed is a place for people to talk, connect and create. And for many of the men who come here, it's not just a hobby space. It's somewhere they can open up, form friendships that they may not form elsewhere, and share skills. And with loneliness and mental health crises continuing to rise across the UK post-COVID, it's sheds like these that are making a difference. Naila Mohammed for KMTV.
Now it is time for a break, but after that we'll hit the streets to find out what kind of festive games the people of Kent like to play. And as always, we'll be joined by our resident film expert Chris Deasy to talk about whether Die Hard is actually a jolly Christmas movie. Now, I am very opinionated. I don't think Die Hard is a Christmas film. You know, you have your classic Christmas films, The Grinch. It's all about Christmas, the genre is Christmas, but Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, I'm saying Rocky IV is included in there. They fight on Christmas Day, but let's save that for when Chris is here on the sofa with me to debate me. Well, see you after this short break. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Now, residents in Dover say they're experiencing a shortage of festive spirit with a lack of lights and a wonky tree. The Dover Market Square Christmas tree was grown local to the area and does change colours, but its lean brings the wrong kind of attention. The Town Council have encouraged residents to put up their own displays as a cost-saving measure, but Doverians are simply not impressed. Business owners say the lack of festive decorations means there's not much to attract people to the town. Cafe owner Sandra Marlowe described the absence of Christmas cheer as saying Dover is a Grinch town. Well, as we're rapidly closing in on the 25th, we thought we'd head out to around Kent to ask people about their favourite festive games.
Charades, probably. Yeah, old-fashioned charades.
I don't actually play any games. I'm a bit of a bore, really, I suppose, at Christmas time. I just like to go down the pub and have a couple of beers with my friends. That's about it, I think.
Anything that makes you laugh. Absolutely anything that makes you laugh.
After our dinner on Christmas Day, after the King's Speech, we do play games.
Oh, so we have this really funny game we've played a few times. It's don't say So it's really hard because obviously we've all had a few drinks and we're on teams, and you get like little challenge cards and you're not allowed to say and every time someone says you hit the bell, you hit the buzzer, and it's absolutely hilarious.
I like the ones about pop music, about the 80s, 70s and 80s music. Pop quiz. So I love Christmas. Christmas is a great time.
Charades.
And Monopoly.
Monopoly. Cards, actually.
Cards, yeah.
Uno Extreme. It's there's a lot more things to do in it, so you take a bigger hit. So if you get caught, you get a bigger hit. So it's more competitive.
Monopoly.
Uno.
Now, remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest stories from all over Kent at kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find many of our reports, like this one, where an investigation into local vape shops found that many of them are failing to provide a take-back scheme amidst a growing concern over battery fires. Apologies, that is the wrong video there, but I'm sure it'll be a great story nonetheless, like the ones you can find on our website. Let's have a look.
The New Old Bakehouse in Broadstairs serves something more than coffee and pastries. Every week, the cafe hosts Bonkers Wednesday, where customers can come down to make music and some new friends.
As well as coffee, this cafe is also known for producing a lot of friendship and music.
I've been here for 2 years, and I started off the Bonkers Wednesday as a little bit for the community and to bring a little bit of joy, because there's a lot of doom and gloom in this world.
These sessions aim to help elderly visitors overcome feelings of isolation, which can often come up later in life.
They brought a lot of joy to my life. I came here on my own. I didn't know anyone, and there's seven or eight of us. We're really happy and friendly. We meet up every morning at 8 o'clock, and we just have fun.
I say my wife died 2 years ago, so I was feeling down, and this has livened up my life. I come here, as I say, every morning. We all know each other, we all muck in together, and we just have a lovely time and a laugh.
I must say it's a pleasure being down here. We've got a good team down here, and Maria goes beyond and whatever it is, above and beyond to please everybody. And I love her to bits, and I love them all. Oh, don't I cry!
With winter already upon us, this group is determined to make sure the beat goes on. Henry Luck for KMTV in Broadstairs.
Great report there from Henry. Now it's time to take a quick look at the weather. And tonight we'll see clouds sweeping across Kent this evening, an average of 10 degrees. Tunbridge Wells, a small drop to 9 degrees. Tomorrow morning, some clouds remain across the county. Weather getting a bit hotter there, 11 degrees. Dover seeing a high of 12. Into the afternoon now, the clouds remain, as does the temperature in Dover. But everywhere else getting slightly warmer. Tunbridge Wells at 11. And the outlook is a bit plain, 12 degrees across the board. Some clouds over early in the week, with Sunday and Monday looking a bit overcast for the rest of the county. Later on tonight, we'll be showing off a new episode of Kent Film Club. But before that, I'm joined by the presenter of the show, Chris Deasy, as we talk about things film and Kent related for this week. So, I don't know if you've heard this news, Chris. In an interview, Quentin Tarantino listed his 20 favourite films from the 21st century. Among them, There Will Be Blood, a very critically acclaimed film at number 5. He said it would have stood a good chance of being number 1 or number 2 if it didn't have a big giant flaw in it, and he was referring to Paul Dano. Do you think these kind of criticisms are fair from actor to director, even when they haven't maybe worked on many projects together?
That's a good point, because I remember when Scorsese made The Departed, and Tarantino was very critical, saying, you know, Scorsese is a huge director, but he's doing a remake of a film that was made in another language a decade or two earlier. Now, the thing about Paul Dano is interesting, because he played Brian Wilson in the Beach Boys film a few years ago. And I remember having a conversation with someone about this, where it was said, you know, he actually looks the spitting image of Brian Wilson. So, of course, you know, it's the old expression about what's to one person, you know, meat or poison to somebody else. And I would say that you think of the long history of relationships between directors who've always used the same actors in their films. Uma Thurman, Kill Bill. I mean, you know, it's hard to imagine anybody other than Uma Thurman playing that part of Beatrix, the bride in Kill Bill, and of course also in Pulp Fiction, for which she was Oscar nominated. You think of Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio in Scorsese films. So I think a lot of people would disagree. But also it shows that Paul Dano brings a very almost otherworldly touch to this film. I mean, he's often very good at playing more sort of psychologically unhinged characters. He's been one of the Batman films. Yes. So arguably, he's actually a very fitting role. He played the Riddler in that kind of genre.
Absolutely. Do you have any favourite roles of his outside of There Will Be Blood? You mentioned the Riddler there.
Well, there was a film where he played, it was Ethan Hawke, and it was in 2004, and it was a film, Angelina Jolie is in it as well. And it's a serial killer film, but he plays a very young boy, and as I recall, he might either grow up to be Ethan Hawke, or he's in some way either the murderer or somebody involved in it. And it's chilling, and you're watching him and you're just thinking there's something here that seems out of place, out of sync, unhinged. So he plays that role beautifully. So he's one of those, and it's funny because he appears with Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis won an Oscar for that role, and Paul Dano puts in a very different sort of performance, but it's a good counterpoint to Daniel Day-Lewis's.
Absolutely. We're also going to go on now to Marvel's The Fantastic Four: First Steps. It's reportedly had the quietest Disney Plus debut of any MCU title on the service. What's your reaction to this? Do you think, well, this film, it did quite well in the box office compared to maybe some recent MCU projects. Do you think this is a sort of a shifting tide after the en masse, cinema attendances with the Minecraft movie? Do you think people are starting to come back to the cinema?
Yeah, well, I think they are coming back to the cinema. For example, with the latest Knives Out film that's literally imminently about to be released on Netflix. But I've been in packed screenings of that film. I mean, I saw this in the cinema. If I'm honest, the first 5 minutes were really good, and then it got what I thought was into very good if you're into this kind of genre. But I've seen this many times before. So perhaps I'm not too surprised that it hasn't been as big a hit. It was premiered all the way through the summer. I forget its actual release date. I think it was in the summer, maybe in August. And I saw the trailer for months in advance. So it might be overkill. That often can happen. The opposite happened with Oppenheimer. I think I saw the trailer for Oppenheimer about 10 months before its theatrical release. But of course it did phenomenally well. Other films, you see the trailers for weeks upon weeks, go to the cinema and find that it's just you in the auditorium.
Absolutely. And obviously Christmas is around the corner. And Love Actually, a complete staple, a cult classic. But I managed to find an interesting Kent connection. The vicar in Love Actually that marries Juliet and Peter was formerly a vicar for the Kent village of Eynsford. So I thought with this new information, we're going to discuss what constitutes a Christmas film and how did Love Actually do it so well. Before we get into that, what do you like about this film?
This film is so clever because it's a tapestry of so many different lives that intersect. Robert Altman has done films for years, which have always been full of different, you have characters who say things here, say things there, and it's a multiplicity of roles and it gels. This film is very similar, and of course it's all about the run-up to Christmas, and you've got all the different character types, young people in relationships, somebody who's lost their parent, the aging rock star who says filthy things on with Anton Deck, or and or Deck, I think he says, and of course reprising almost the sort of role that he played in Four Weddings and a Funeral. You know, all those sort of almost surreal touches. Emma Thompson's performance in that film when she realises her husband may have committed adultery over a Joni Mitchell CD. All of that there, it all comes together so well, and it's hard not to, at the end, the tears were rolling down my face.
Okay, well, we haven't got much time left, but I'm going to give you a rapid fire of films that have any kind of Christmas connection. So Die Hard, for instance, Die Hard. Do you think it's a Christmas film?
Absolutely. Renewal, redemption.
Okay, so you think Die Hard is a Christmas film. Next, Lethal Weapon.
It is the same as Die Hard, set over Christmas.
Yes, set over Christmas. Yes. In fact, the first scene is in a Christmas tree lot. Batman Returns.
Oh, yes, this one is, and it's paralleling the story even down to, there's even a resurrection, which is more Easter motif. But yeah, there are definitely shades. It's much more implicit compared to Die Hard, but there are shades of Christmas in this film.
We're going to get a bit more obscure now. In Bruges.
Oh, that's a good question. Do they go to Bruges over
It
Christmas?
Is technically set in the holiday season. American Psycho. Multiple Christmas scenes.